Today's day 11 of doing one Proverbs a day for 31 days. We're into Proverbs 11. I chose the verse that stood out to me the most, and then I'm going to break it down. So this is Proverbs 11, verse 1 to 2. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes his disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. All right, let's break this down. So we have to understand what an abomination is. An abomination is a feeling of disgust or extreme hatred. So anything that's an abomination to the Lord is something you should see as a roadblock. This is something that you should never cross that line, because you're going to face consequences for that on the day of judgment. So if you're not repenting or turning away from doing those things, this could send you to the lake of fire or Sheol. All right. So a false balance, to break what that is, but a just weight is his delight. So a false balance is people that lie, cheat, steal, or manipulate for their own advantage against those that are not in the position or power to fight against that. So when you're being unfair or take advantage of people, you're like an enemy to God, basically. Because God is love, and love does no wrong. If it's not love in a way of correcting when people are going astray, but you're using your position and power to take advantage of others by lying, stealing, God hates that, because he wouldn't do that to us. So you're supposed to reflect what God does in heaven here on earth. So it's a big no-no. Next verse. So this is verse 4 to 7. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless keeps his way straight, but the wicked falls by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright delivers them, but the treacherous are taken captive by their lust. When the wicked dies, his hope will perish, and the expectation of wealth perishes too. All right, let's break this down. So I used to work with people with disabilities, and one of my old head of the department, when I first got hired, told us a story. So he had somebody ahead of him at the time, and I believe it was a lady or a man, I'm not sure. I don't know, it was many years ago. But his supervisor never did her or his job. He always stepped up and had to pick up the slack. And it came to a point when this was happening over a span of several years. There came to a point that auditors came to the job, and it wasn't like he was trying to throw his supervisor under the bus, but it unfolded that everyone said, oh, Mr. K was always doing this. I don't want to say his name. Was doing all this work. What happened was his supervisor end up getting fired, and he got the position. So he had title above him. But because he was honest, he got promoted. So doing the wrong thing one day will catch up to you. And it's never worth it, because the truth will come to light, and you reap what you sow. Next verse. This is verse 9 to 10. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge the righteous are delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there are shouts of gladness. All right, let's break this down. So basically, this is the type of person that they can slander your name, they can ruin your reputation. But the thing is, if you're rooted in integrity, No matter noise outside, no matter what happens, the righteous will always prevail. Because the foundation of the wicked is on sand. They might build a castle, but if a wind blows of truth, their whole thing crumbles down. Like, for example, with the example I just mentioned, the position with the supervisor. Had position for years, but was not doing their job. Going out on a vacation. Oh, you do it. I don't feel like doing it. You do it. So he's doing his work plus the supervisor's work. But he was righteous and he got elevated. And what happened to the supervisor? Lost position, lost promotion, lost title. Shamed. Can never work in the company again. Next verse. Where there is no guidance, a people falls. But in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. All right, let's break this down. This one is pretty much self-explanatory. So when you are surrounded with a wise counsel, it saves you from the pitfalls or the years of experience of someone's losses or lessons that they learned. There's safety around wise counsel. Like a drug dealer, he went to jail. He gets back out. He speaks to his son to never do that because he went through that life. You follow me? Or a businessman. Somebody wants to start a coffee business, and then there's a upcoming young man that wants to go in the coffee business, but the businessman is successful, multi-billionaire. If that young man decides to get mentorship around that the coffee CEO to learn the tips and tricks and get mentored, of course, nowadays you're going to have to pay for that because you're paying for the convenience. You're paying for not having to go through as much of the roadblocks or the lessons that they learned along the way. For example, in Haiti, the government is not run efficiently. Everybody's out for themselves. There's a lack of integrity. They get into a position of power and they do not fulfill what they said they were going to do for the people. They think of enriching themselves. But if the government had wise counsel and actually worked for the benefit of the people, the country would flourish. But that's why wisdom is key. Next verse. Speaking of this is verse 11. No, this is Proverbs 11, verse 22. Those of crooked heart are an abomination to the Lord, but those of blameless ways are his delight. Be assured, an evil person will not go unpunished, but the offspring of the righteous will be delivered. Like a gold ring on a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without discretion. All right, this is a twofold breakdown. Let me break this down. So, it was a few weeks ago, I think, I heard Trump said he's not going to make it to heaven. An abomination is everything that God hates. What are you doing behind closed doors that you know you won't make it to heaven? And there's still time to repent. Trump. You have to realize there's a higher spirit, the Alpha and Omega, that you have to answer to. Should be a greater fear of that judgment day than the fear of man. What have you done behind closed doors that you feel like you know your soul is at jeopardy? Because you know deep down you're doing something that is not wrong. I mean, not right. But there's still time to repent. You can still right some wrongs, make them right, do the right thing, save a soul, save nations. Those who are unwilling to lose their lives will lose it, but those who are willing to lose their lives will save it. And in this part, so having a beautiful woman without brains is almost like a waste of time. It's useless. Because this is the type of woman that's not going to feed your soul. Yeah, she looks good on the outside, but she doesn't fulfill you spiritually or any type of way. And this is the last verse. Whoever troubles his own household will inherit the wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and whoever captures souls is wise. If the righteous is repaid on earth, how much more the wicked and the sinner? Alrighty, let's break this down. I mentioned this before. So, if you build your house on sand and you have a castle, when a gust of truth of wind comes by, everything scatters. You have nothing left. It's nothing tangible. You can't hold on to the wind. It's going to blow away. The wealth will be gone. The assets will be gone. Anything that you chased, that you idolized on the path of wickedness, you will have nothing left to account for, especially on the day of judgment. You can't take this gold and wealth with you. All these material things is useless. What did you build? What did you sow spiritually that money cannot buy? As the angels write what you do and say, take it back to God in heaven. What wealth or crown will you have there versus when you build your wealth here on this earth? That's going to rot away. Do you speak only for yourself and your family, or do you speak to save a soul? $1 million worth of gold on this earth doesn't compare to saving one soul, When one soul is saved, heaven rejoices. Why do you think in the parable of the sheep, you leave the 99 to go for the lost one? And if the righteous are paid and are blessed here on this earth, how do you think you're going to be repaid? If the righteous are blessed here on this earth, and if you're wicked, and I hope you repent, what do you think you're going to be repaid with? Do you think you're going to be blessed? What is the opposite of blessed? You have to decide who you want to be. And this is my outline for today. Power comes with the moral responsibility and integrity of treating those in poverty fairly. Number 2, wealth gained by wickedness will not save you during the day of judgment. Number 3, find wise counsel and learn from them. They will save you time from learning avoidable painful experiences. And number 4, wickedness will cost you more than what you gained, than what you bargained for. Beauty without wisdom is a waste of time. And these are the prophetic and kingdom principles. Generosity is a spiritual investment system. Remember the parable of the rich man with Lazarus? The rich man had infinite amount of wealth to feed and clothe Lazarus, but he didn't even want to give him his scraps. That's why it says the rich person, it's going to be harder for them to enter the kingdom of heaven. It'll be easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to go into heaven. Catch that. And the kingdom principle. Integrity creates stability. Crookedness creates chaos. When black nations operate in integrity without greed, they will shift their future overnight. Look at Ibrahim Traore. He's doing so many great advancements for his country. Peace.